So what do you think of the zero waste program?
I think it's a good idea for that reason.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to deal with the food waste from the school as opposed to just throwing it away.
I think it's a good idea so we don't waste food that could be used for something else.
Okay, so what do you think of the zero waste program?
It's good.
What do you know about the zero waste program?
Nothing at all. Zero waste.
Do you know what compost is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's like a bunch of food. It's like it's all the food is defective.
What's one word you would use to describe the zero waste program?
A good deed.
Resourceful.
Smart.
Helpful. Environment healthy.
So what actually happens in the zero waste program, and how do we make compost? Before any food is added, we create a foundation for the compost pile made of piled sticks that looks like a campfire. This allows water and air to run through the pile, reducing smell and keeping the compost pile in an aerobic environment. Then we add about 2 feet of mulch on top of the sticks and lots of water. The water acts like a glue and keeps all the leaves and sticks in a neat cake-like structure. This is where you come in. After all the food is dumped in the bucket, Zero Waste staff picks it up and weighs it. We add more water to the pile before adding the food and milk from the lunchroom. More water is added to ignite the decomposition process of the food, a process governed by millions of microbes. We break down the food into bite-sized pieces that are easy for the microbes to digest. All the food is covered with mulch and more water is added to keep the pile intact. Pukas, or tunnels, are made through the entire pile to allow air to circulate. Each day we add another layer of food until the pile reaches 1,000 pounds of food. We add on average about 100 pounds of food to a pile each day. The pile is then covered to keep the heat in, and the compost begins to go through its stages of development. It starts in the thermophilic phase, where the pile heats up to scorching temperatures of between 130 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit. This is capable of killing harmful pathogens and bacteria. The heat comes from the activity of the thermophilic bacteria, and this phase lasts several months. Then, the compost reaches the Mesophilic phase, where the compost cools down slightly, and critters come and chew, poop, and reproduce, further breaking down the mulch and food scraps. In the last phase, called the curing phase, the compost cools down even further, continuing to break down any particles. The curing phase can last about a month or 3 months, depending on how many critters are there to help it along its way.
Many months later.
The final product looks something like this, a rich, dark substance that is high in nitrogen and carbon.
So the compost is used regularly in the garden in the amount specified by the soil scientists after we do soil testing. And having an ample supply of it makes it so much easier to do our gardening. We can always access it and use it wherever we need it.
Okay, well, vermicomposting and composting of worms is a really important component of our zero waste program. The worms move from side to side laterally, that's why it's called a lateral flow bin, every 6 months. So right now, this is the active side where we're feeding them, and they're getting lots and lots of food. They get 40 to 50 pounds a week. We put it on one side 1 week, and then we switch to the other side the next week and alternate back and forth. Put plenty of paper on top, and they'll be in the active side for 6 months. And after that period of time, we're going to harvest The inactive side, what they all have abandoned, they're really productive and lucrative because we can sell this vermicast. It's the world's best fertilizer. So we get a lot of extra worms and we sell those to the public also at $160 a pound. So these little worm bins make a few $1,000s each for the school every year.
Besides the amount of money that composting and worms make for KIS, we keep thousands of pounds of food waste from being burned at H-Power each month. Burning food waste is an expensive endeavor and requires a lot of oil because it is full of water and rapidly decomposing. It also requires a high carbon footprint to transport to H-Power. Keeping the food waste on campus and making compost from it costs almost nothing and has no carbon footprint. The Zero Waste program doesn't just happen at KIS, but 5 other schools in the Kailua area also participate in this program daily. Above all else, try to eat all the food that is given to you at lunch, but if you must, feed the worms, not the incinerator.
What's not to love about squirmy wormies?